Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, and when I saw the headlines making the rounds of the Epic Games Store and some little information coming out that honestly I thought has been pretty apparent for a while now, but actually hearing it come out of EGS and Epic Games' mouth, well, this is cause for me to talk about it. This was coming from The Verge. PC Gamer has a great article on it. 5 years after trying for a Valve Counter-Strike moment with Fortnite, the Epic Games Store still isn't turning a profit. While we've never had actual numbers and figures slapped across our face with it, if you know anything about how this industry works, you could kind of come to that conclusion that you were pretty skeptical on whether or not the Epic Games Store is turning a profit. Now, let's be honest, if you go back 5 years ago to 2018, the Epic Games Store wasn't intended to make an immediate profit. Very few businesses and new ventures are expecting to make a profit right off the bat. Usually you have a 5-year, a 10-year, a 15-year plan, and then by the midway point, the end point of that plan, that's when you're starting to get the dividends. Your work is being compensated now, and ultimately, that was the goal of Epic Games. At least that's what you would imagine. But right off the bat, when you were talking about these exclusivity agreements being announced, these free games being given away, I mean, guys, Grand Theft Auto 5 was being given away via the Epic Games Store. Microsoft has to pay a significant penny just to have Grand Theft Auto 5 sometimes be in the Xbox Game Pass rotation. Imagine giving that game away on the Epic Games Store. You think Epic Games is just like sweet-talking Rockstar being like, hey, can we just offer this game for free? No, that requires a significant investment. So when you look at things like that, when you look at things like, you know, the infrastructure of creating a new platform, when you look at things like all of the exclusivity agreements and the free games being given out, it was very hard to fathom that Epic Games Store was making a profit, but the idea is, hey, they're gonna invest all of this money into the exclusivity agreements, into the free games, and that's gonna get the consumer to give Epic Games Store a shot, and then ultimately, hopefully, we can have people utilize this platform as their primary gaming platform. There's also the argument that, hey, was Fortnite generating enough revenue with its microtransactions to compensate Epic Games, etc., etc., but when you look at it in totality, it was just very difficult to think about Epic Games Store turning an immediate profit. That just doesn't seem realistic, and I have always been of the mindset this isn't the right way to go. First of all, they're spending all this money to get exclusivity agreements, to get free games being given away, and you can't even get preloads. Who's gonna come to the storefront and be like, yeah, this is the storefront that I want to use. All my friends are on Steam, but I'm an EGS guy now, baby. I hate my preloads. I hate shopping carts and whatnot, because that wasn't a thing available for a while. But now, let's actually talk about the new information that has come out. The time the case is the Epic versus Google trial, and the executive is Steve Allison, the general manager of the Epic Games Store, who testified yesterday via The Verge that the PC storefront continues to generate no profit for the company 5 years after its December 2018 launch. Epic sued Google all the way back in 2020 in an attempt to get out of paying the 30% cut that the company takes from transactions on Android's Google Play Store apps like Fortnite. The trial had its first day in court yesterday, and Allison took the stand in order to give the court a bit of detail about the Epic Games Store, the 12% cut it usually levies on companies who sell their games there, etc., etc. So now we know that the storefront hasn't turned a profit, and it's been 5 years. And when Allison reached out to former Epic boss Paul Megan to talk about how excited he was to work on the EGS, he mentioned that Fortnite blowing up definitely has created the potential Valve Counter-Strike moment. The only difference is, obviously, there is a storefront on PC that is so cultivated and ingrained in the consumer's mind that the idea of Epic Games Store generating this huge competition, especially when, you know, hindsight being 2020, but if you told us up front that, yeah, there's going to be free games and exclusivities offered, but the actual platform left a lot to be desired, well, that's going to be an issue. In other words, Fortnite's popularity looked to Allison like it could be leveraged to vacuum up PC storefront market share, much like Counter-Strike's popularity helped Valve to do it around 2 decades ago. But it's such a different ballgame when you're talking about 2018 versus when Valve came to the scene with Steam. Steam was something that was much necessary in the PC gaming environment and the ecosystem and really elevated PC gaming. Was Epic Games Store really, when you look at it, even going back to 2018, and I know hindsight is always going to be 2020 and we can have a clearer picture now versus, foresight, but Epic Games Store wasn't something people were clamoring about. People weren't like, yo, we need a storefront that's gonna offer us timed exclusivities. Like, that is what we need, guys. Obviously, free game offerings are great, but that's not a sustainable business model. Everybody knows that. Just signing deals to give away games, that's not a sustainable business model. That's not something, sure, it's great for the consumer to get these free games, but ultimately, the games that you really want, your Alan Wake 2s, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Intergrade, those games aren't going to be given out for free, so what's the best way to go about with those titles? Well, you have exclusivity agreements. In the case of Alan Wake 2, actually funding the creation of the game, and in that case, I've been pretty vocal about the fact I don't have a problem with that. Without Epic Games, Alan Wake 2 probably wouldn't have happened, but it's the timed exclusivity agreements that is your way to break into the market space. But guess what? Those timed exclusivity agreements, you think Square Enix is giving out the rights to FF7 to have that as a timed exclusive on the Epic Games Store for, nothing? No, it's going to be a sizable amount, and I see people get confused sometimes. Some people actually think that FF7 Remake was a timed exclusive on the Epic Games Store for something as simple as, oh, we get all of the revenue, 100% of the revenue that it generates, we get all that, as in Square Enix. Guys, absolutely not. When a game is an Epic Games Store exclusive, while we'll never have tangible numbers on how many sales they're giving away by it not being available on Steam, it is a sizable amount, and me just throwing a dart on the board, I legitimately believe with a game like FF7 Remake, it's 70 to 75% of that game's potential sales numbers had it been released on Steam back in, I think it was December of 2021 when it came out on the Epic Games Store. Obviously, it was a delayed release on PC from the get-go, so it wasn't ever gonna reach the PlayStation numbers, but you are talking about gaining out a sizable portion of the PC audience by having it as an Epic Games Store exclusive, and Epic Games has to pay a pretty penny to get those games as an exclusive. Usually, not only do you have to make up for that projected sales on Steam, but to actually make it worthwhile for the publisher, a Square Enix, a Deep Silver, you have to overspend, you have to overcompensate to get that timed exclusivity agreement, because why would they be incentivized? If it's just the amount that they were projecting to sell on Steam, well, we'll just release it on Steam. You're not incentivizing us to limit our game's appeal. If you limit our game's appeal, we want more attention on that game. Even if it's the bottom line we mostly care about, we want that attention on our game. So how do you compensate for that? Well, you overcompensate from a monetary standpoint. So let's say that FF7 Remake was going to generate, I don't know, throw on a number on the board, 10 million across Steam and the Epic Games Store if it was released day and date. And of that 10 million, 8 million was going to be on Steam, and the Epic Games Store would have generated 2 million, which I really think it would have been a lot more than 8 million that would have been on Steam. But for argument's sake, let's say it would have been an 8 million versus 2 million split. But Epic Games comes in and they want that game as an exclusive. Well, they gotta pay more than 8 million. They gotta actually incentivize Square Enix to be like, okay, screw Steam for now, let's release our game on the Epic Games Store as this timed exclusive. That's just an argument I throw out there, but what I'm trying to get at is it is not cheap to get these timed exclusivity agreements. It is very, very expensive, and ultimately, has it been worthwhile for the Epic Games Store? Not really. What I hear a lot from people, especially the pushback on the timed exclusives, people are like, yo, there's so many games to play. Why am I gonna go on the Epic Games Store for a game that will ultimately come out on Steam, and I've got 8 billion other games to play? That's what I've been hearing more and more of, every month, every year, every time a major Epic Games Store exclusive comes out. In the case of Alan Wake 2, the thing is, it may never come to Steam because it was funded by Epic Games and it's not a timed exclusivity agreement. Rather, it's just a straight up exclusivity aspect attached to the game because Epic Games published it, but you get the idea. How you look at all the information that's on the table and think that EGS has turned a profit, like, it's wild. Like, I never thought they turned a profit, but they also did note that they poured $500 million into the Epic Games Store with no expectations of profit until 2027. We're about 4 years away from that 2027 window, and do I really think that they're gonna hit a profit by 2027. I don't, guys. I don't. Unless they stop offering free games, unless they really lessen how much they're spending, I can't see a turn of profit. And even if they lessen their spending, I just don't think anybody wants to use the platform. And I'm not saying that Steam should be a monopoly. I'm saying there has to be more effective ways of gaining market share than the exclusivity agreements that you're spending a lot on. We also learned in 2021 that Epic had spent a full $1 billion on exclusives for EGS, and they'll probably continue to spend a lot of money, but it's just, will that money and will that investment pay dividends? Will it ultimately come back, and will eventually EGS be this incredibly successful platform? I'm sorry, like, I just don't think so, based on what I know, and I've been wrong hundreds of times. I've also been right every now and again, but I've been wrong hundreds of times, and maybe I'll be wrong about this. I'm pretty confident that the heads at EGS, from a business standpoint, I'm sure they're more qualified in making business decisions than I am, a schmuck on YouTube. But who knows? We'll see by 2027 if EGS turns a profit or not, and if they're the successful competitor to Steam. I just don't foresee that happening. But yeah, we'll see what comes to fruition. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Know a bit of a ramble and a rant here, but interesting information nonetheless that I had thought was the case for a long time now. But again, that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.